All right, today we are looking at Ironheart number 56 from the Captain America and the Avengers set. She comes in with the Champions keyword, Stark Industries Armor and Scientist. I like her on Scientist teams to give some attack options, and I really like her second trait that we're going to look at to help with the flow of the game. She has the first trait, which is Ironheart may use her displayed damage powers twice per turn. That's going to be great because her damage powers are Prob, Outwit, and Perplex. So having two probs in a turn without any restrictions on how they can be used can allow you to bump up her damage by 2 should you need that, or split it however you want. Her second trait is Glue Cannon, Magnet Blast, I'll name it later. When Ironheart hits after resolution, she can use Barrier at no cost, but the first marker must be generated adjacent to a hit character, and the markers may be placed on hindering terrain. Free Barrier is always good, and Free Barrier where there's no limit on the number of barrier markers. Lots of times it's Free Barrier, but just to place 1 or 2. This one she can use that barrier just like regular barrier, so 4 markers. They would have to be within her range, but she can place them on hindering terrain, which is very good. She has a relatively low cost value, so you could put some things on her to allow her to ignore hindering, and that can really throw off a stealth type of team. So you could shoot them through the hindering and then put the barrier markers on top of that. Okay, let's take a look at the back of her card. As you can see, she is coming in with 7 range, single target. She flies. She has run and shot, pen psi, an 18 defense with impervious, and a 3 damage with prob on her top click. She has that 11 movement run and shot, which when you would use that, then you could cut that in half to a 6. With the 7 range, that gives her a reach of 13. On a scientist team, there's some options where you have scientists with TK, so you could TK her out an additional 6 on top of that, so she could have a very far reach. 11 speed is very good, and a 7 range is a very decent value. 11 attack is also very good, and with penetrating on top of it, that is a great combination. I really like run and shot and penetrating psychic blast. Remember, she has 2 chances to use that prob from her trait. So an 11 attack with 2 probs behind it is a pretty good chance of being able to hit. If she gets hit, she on her middle dial, she still has run and shot. Her 11 attack value drops down to a 10. She has pen psi on click 3, and then incapacitate on click 4. She drops down the invulnerability as her defense, so still a reducer. The 3 damage is still there on the middle clicks, but now she has Outwit, and she can use Outwit twice. On her last 2 clicks, she has the Incap with a 10 and a 9. She has reducers throughout her dial, so she ends with 17 defense, which is okay, with toughness. Her damage goes down to 2, but she has perplex, and her trait allows her to use that 2 times. So depending on what the situation is, you can choose to boost either attack up or damage up or defense. So all those options with perplex, and having perplex twice is even better. She has 85 as her point cost for those 6 clicks of life. And for what she can do, I think that's a fair price. Again, I like her on the scientist team. We're going to take a look at a couple examples of how her barrier trait can be used in battle, and I think that's really what sets her apart from everything else. So that cost, you could get other run and shot pen psi type characters, but she's bringing 2 instances of her damage powers and that barrier trait. So I think that's what really sets her apart from other figures. All right, let's take a look at how Ironheart's trait can work. She has run and shot. We're going to say she's starting here behind the block and terrain. She has a run and shot pen psi combination. She has 11 speed with a 7 range. So that means we would half the 11 into a 6 and then 7 range on top of that. We give her a reach of 13. On this example, we have Radioactive Man sitting over there in hindering terrain. Ironheart would run and shot. She can move right there, take the shot at Radioactive Man. If she hits, her trait would kick in, which is when Ironheart hits, after resolution, she can use barrier at no cost. But the first marker must be generated adjacent to a hit character, and the markers may be placed on hindering terrain. So usually you can't place barrier markers on anything but clear terrain. In this example, though, she could follow up her hit with 4 barriers and completely lock down Radioactive Man, making your opponent either waste an action to bust out one of these barriers so that he could get out of there, or just completely messing up what they might have had planned. Let's take one more look at how Ironheart's trait could be used. In this example, she's in position to take the shot on Radioactive Man. She would follow up her hit after resolutions with generating the barrier marker. Now remember, those markers, even though she can place them on hindering terrain, and at least one of them have to start adjacent to the hit character, they would have all the other properties of barrier, which means they still have to be within her range. So on this type of setup, she has a range of 7. So it should be fine. She can reach all the way out there. She's going to put her barrier markers to pin Radioactive Man against this elevated terrain. And then she can also put her last marker in between there, just to make it a little bit tough for the opponents to free Radioactive Man. So she could have a couple different places where she could spread out that last barrier marker to make it difficult for the opponent to free Radioactive Man from where he's at. So free barrier with 4 markers is great. And this is the exact way that I like to use that, is barrier to isolate an opponent. If your opponent has a one-man army, that can be devastating because you just lock down their one man and they can't do anything about it. Barrier goes away next turn. You continue up with additional attacks. Okay, thanks for watching our video today. Hopefully you found some value in ways you can use Ironheart on your teams. Let me know down below if you find a place for her on different theme teams. With that armor keyword, there's some modern figures that look for the armor keyword for their special abilities to kick in. So you can get her some support figures triggering off of armor and use her on that type of theme team. But again, I like her for scientists and Stark Industries. I could see some use there too. All right, let me know your thoughts. Thanks for watching. Check it out. If you dig what we do, go ahead and like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.